Welcome to Frederick at its best. I'm Frederick County Executive Jan Gardner, and I'm pleased to welcome a fairly large group of people to join me here today to commemorate Juneteenth. Most people are aware of the Emancipation Proclamation, which was a presidential proclamation and executive order that was issued by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863. It changed the federal legal status of more than 3 million enslaved people in certain designated areas of the South, changing their legal status from slave to free. But the Emancipation Proclamation had minimal effect at the time, and it didn't really change the day-to-day lives of many people, particularly in Texas, due to the insignificant number of Union troops to enforce the new executive order. Then, on June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger and 2,000 federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, to take possession of the state and to enforce the emancipation of its slaves. Granger informed the people of Texas that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, the President of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection between them legally became as it would between employer and hired help. The significance of June 19th is that the ancestors of Americans of African descent were not free, but slaves during the nation's first Independence Day, celebrated on July 4th, 1776, and quite frankly, for a number of July 4ths between 1776 and 1865. Juneteenth has become the oldest known celebration commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. One of the most famous speeches about the 19th of June is from Frederick Douglass, who was a former slave himself and became a leader in the 19th century abolitionist movement. I encourage you to take time to read his entire speech, in fact, to read a number of his speeches. He had a combination of being like a fiery a minister and an abolitionist. And he really had a lot to say and questioned America's devotion to freedom because of the way it treated an entire race of people. Douglass's hard-hitting and emotional words ring true in the heart of Americans today who condemn slavery and all forms of racial prejudice that have their roots in slavery. Please keep in mind the significance of Juneteenth from the perspective of the past and the hope of the future. I'd now like to ask Council President Bud Otis to issue our joint proclamation in honor of Juneteenth. Go ahead, Bud. Do you want to help?
Here's the proclamation. Whereas Juneteenth, the day of reflection, a day of renewal, a pride-filled day, is a moment in time taken to appreciate African American experience. It is inclusive of all races, ethnicities, nationalities, and nothing is more comforting than the hand of a friend. And whereas Juneteenth serves symbolically and in reality as a reference point from which to measure and appreciate the progress and contributions made by African Americans to this society, and whereas Juneteenth is a day on which honor and respect is paid for the suffering of slavery, is a day on which we acknowledge the evils of slavery and its aftermath. On Juneteenth, we talk about our history and realize because of it, there will forever be a bond between us. And whereas Juneteenth, we think about that moment in time when the enslaved in Galveston, Texas, received word of their freedom. Imagine the depth of their emotion, their jubilant dance, and their fear of the unknown. Whereas Juneteenth is a day that we commit to each other the needed support as family, friends, and co-workers, is a day we build coalitions that embrace African American economics. And whereas Juneteenth, we come together, young and old, to listen, to learn, and to refresh the drive to achieve. It is a day where we all take one step closer together to better utilize the energy wasted on racism. Juneteenth is a day we pray for peace and liberty for all. Now, whereas the county executive and president of the county council of Frederick, Maryland, we proclaim June 19th as Juneteenth Day in Frederick County and do command its observance to all of our citizens.
Thank you very much, Bud. And I do think it's important to recognize that both the county executive and the county council stand together in issuing this proclamation today. And so now I would like to share the microphone with the people who have joined us today and hear what they have to say about their reflections on Juneteenth. And I do want to introduce our council vice president, MC Keegan first.
I was trying to sneak through unseen. I want to thank the county executive and the county council president for recognizing this day. I think it's very appropriate that we recognize this day because even though it's been coming up on 200 years now since the signing of this proclamation or what the executive order, we still are struggling with making sure that African Americans in our community have the same opportunities as the rest of us, and not just opportunities in their day-to-day work life, but opportunities in their education, opportunities in where they live, opportunities in everything about their lives. And we hear all the time about Black Lives Matter, and we hear about the fact that they are more often targeted for all kinds of overzealous, oversight, to put it that way. So I think that it's important that we recognize this, and we recognize that we are all Americans, and we all stand together, and that we appreciate the additions that the African American community has made to the betterment of lives throughout America. So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marquita Smith, and first of all, I want to thank you all for inviting me here today. I got an email from one of my friends, Phyllis York, and she sent it, and I thought this would be a great time because I do know a little bit about Juneteenth because I lived in Texas for 6 years, and I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, but when we moved to Texas, I used to work for the state of Texas, and everyone was getting excited about Juneteenth Day, and I was a little puzzled because I didn't understand what it was, and so it was explained to me what Juneteenth was about, and that the slaves didn't find out that they were freed until later on, and like all of the other slaves knew that they were freed, and I was just really shocked that this had happened. So every year they celebrate it on June 19th, and it's a holiday. You don't have to go to work. The kids are already out of school, so it doesn't matter, but I just thought it would be interesting to attend and just to share what I have to share. Thank you.
My name is David Kaye. I'm a commissioner on the Frederick County Human Relations Commission. I have to fess up, until 3 years ago, I never heard of Juneteenth, but I actually looked it up. It is, in fact, a very significant day, and I think in these times, it's more important than ever for all of us to stand together and say, I'm an American. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Phyllis York. I'm president of ECLN, Empowering Community Leaders Network Incorporated. I am so happy to be here today. You know, of all the things that are happening in our country and in our world that we perceive as not being right, this is right to do. Thank you, County Executive Gardner, and the County Executive, County Council, for taking time out to do this. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, the time is always right to do what is right, and this is right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Roger Subkowiak from the Human Relations Commission. I'm glad to be here today to part of the celebration.
Good morning. My name is Roger Smith, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning. And I would like to, I won't get all of the names right on the county government, but I do thank the county government for the opportunity of sharing this morning's session. I'm a resident of Frederick for 14 years. I've always felt welcome here and hope that continues throughout. And we will continue to appreciate, love, and cherish Frederick and move on. And I would like to say we are moving in the right direction, regardless what we're hearing and seeing in the news. It's going in a positive direction. So let's keep that strive going and continue to look forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Michael Barron. I am really excited to be here today. I think it's great to learn about the past, to commemorate the past, especially events like this, to really also use that to think about what's happening in the present. I'm a cultural anthropologist, so I can't help but doing that. And so especially with an event like this, thinking about, you know, even though I agree we are moving in the right direction, things we still have to work on, like hate crimes that are happening way too often, and structural inequalities that are still creating disparities in education and housing, in terms of implicit unconscious bias that still affects adults, kids all over the country. So I think for me, that's why these events are so important, to think about what's happening now and how to move forward and keep continuing in that positive direction.
I'll keep my comments brief. My name is Mary Lee. I'm the chair of the Human Relations Commission. I truly want to thank everyone for coming out today. As always, I want to thank County Executive Gardner, Council President Bud Otis, and Council Vice President MC Keegan-Air, and the County Council in general for always taking time to recognize and honor important milestones such as this, as well as just the diversity in our community. And the HRC stands as one body, one voice, and every day we stand in unity with all diverse members of our community.
Hi. Good morning. My name is Shirley Greer. I am resident of Frederick County since 1972. I would like to thank the Frederick County executives and government for recognizing Juneteenth, because it is very important that we think about what happened in the past, and also as we try to deal with what is going on now and in the future, especially when we're having controversy about Mullinex Park and other happenings in this county. So I thank you for allowing me this opportunity just to say thank you. I am here. I am a member of the Negro Business and Professional Business Women's Group here in Frederick. Thank you so much.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank County Executive Gardner, Vice President, Secretary, okay, and everyone present. I think it is so important that we realize that there have been strides made, and to think it was so long before Texas found out, the slaves in Texas found out that they were free. I grew up in Southwest Georgia, didn't know anything about Juneteenth. In fact, I was in North Carolina yesterday. I arrived at 1 o'clock this morning driving so I could be here. But I was mentioned to someone that I want to get back for this, and they said, well, we don't hear too much about that, in North Carolina. So I tell them about our community and how inclusive it is, and how I've been here since 1984. And I want to say that I chose to live in Frederick County.
Good.
I chose.
Good.
Yes. With my husband, I took a huge risk. We bought a house over in Clover Hill, and he didn't have orders. He was in the Army. So they could have sent us to Texas. But thank God that he got the assignment in D.C. That was his last assignment. And my husband passed in 1989, and I've been in Frederick longer than I've been any place in my life. I've always had a mobile lifestyle, but Frederick is home, and I'm so pleased to be here. And I feel so welcome here. and just love it. Everybody thinks I'm an ambassador because I keep telling people about it.
Everybody is an ambassador, so keep up the good work.
Good morning. My name is Janine Solifu. I'm the president of the newly chartered chapter Beta Alpha Sigma Zeta, it's a lot of letters, of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And Juneteenth is very important to me because I learned about it while I was an undergrad in college at a HBCU, Delaware State University. And as many have said, it was not a known fact, historical fact. And once I learned about it, unfortunately we didn't have the internet back then, I went to the library to read books upon it, and it was shocking to hear that that had taken a long time for the news to spread, and that unfortunately forces had to go down there to let everyone know that slavery has ended. And also, even though people talk negative about social media, one thing I can say in this present time, a positive aspect of social media is the fact that news will spread quickly. And because of social media, this type of thing could never happen again, or any other type of negative incident when people are not allowed to have their rights, their legal rights, and bad news share or positive news share. So I wanted to thank the Frederick County government. I'm not going to list everyone, I don't want to mess up, but thank you so much, all the Frederick County government leaders, for having this and acknowledging it, because as many have said, a lot of governments do not recognize it, except for the southern states or whatever, but again, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Hi, I'm Laura Roholt Westorp. I'm with Senator Young's office. He wanted to extend his apologies for not being here, but is thrilled that we're doing this in Frederick County. As all of you know, Senator Young has worked his entire life on behalf of the city, on behalf of the county. He is so honored to serve as a senator right now. Me personally, I want to recognize that I too chose to Frederick County to raise my children. For the diversity, for the beauty in both the county, it's the mountains, but also its people and what the city and the county had to offer on so many levels that there really didn't seem like any other choice at the time. And unfortunately, it was a flight out of Montgomery County. But I'm glad we landed here, and I'm glad that we have the county council that we have now and the executor that are willing to recognize that diversity and where we've come and where we're going. It's wonderful to have that again in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Nikki Bamonte. I represent Mayor McClement and the Board of Aldermen for the City of Frederick. And off stage left is our Chief of Police, Ed Hargis, who didn't come up on stage. But we just want to say that the City of Frederick stands with the county, we stand with the HRC, and we support this and all of you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Miles Ward with the Human Relations Department. Very happy to be here, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for doing this and for being here.
I'm Monica Grant. I'm the director of the Citizen Services Division of Frederick County Government. And when I look at this group of people who have gathered today to both celebrate our past, our current life in Frederick County, and our future, it really is one of the best things about Frederick County to me, that we have folks who've taken time out of their day, we have our elected officials, and we have representatives from our government all pulling together and supporting all the folks in Frederick County. Thank you.
All right, we're up here whispering. I want to thank all of you for your comments and reflections and for sharing what Juneteenth means to you. It is something that not everybody knows about, and I think it's an important piece of our history to recognize Juneteenth and to make more people aware of it. And we do see more institutions around the country, including the Smithsonian, the Henry Ford Museum, and others beginning to sponsor Juneteenth-centered events. We all share the mission to promote and cultivate knowledge and the appreciation of African American history and culture. And we certainly also promote and work hard to make sure that everyone in Frederick County feels welcome and is treated with dignity and respect and has the advantage to be treated with equality and with equal rights. Juneteenth today celebrates African American freedom and achievement while encouraging continuous self-development and respect for each other and for all cultures. This indeed represents the bright future of Frederick County and of our country. So in the spirit of Juneteenth, I want to thank you all for joining us for Frederick at its best.